Just in, on Wiretap News.
Before I begin, I wanted to take a moment to express, on behalf of the entire Southern District of Texas, our heartfelt sympathies for those that lost loved ones, lost their homes, lost everything in the devastating flooding in Central Texas. Our prayers are with the grieving families and all those rescue personnel, both professional and volunteer, that have worked tirelessly and heroically to save lives. Today, we are here to announce that for the first time in many years, an alleged Chinese state-sponsored hacker has been arrested for computer intrusion crimes against institutions in the United States. In 2023, a grand jury here in Houston returned a sealed indictment against Xu Zuwei and his defendant Zhang Yu for offenses arising from the hacking of computers at 3 universities, 2 of which are located here in the Southern District of Texas, as well as the hacking of a major international law firm based in Washington, D.C. This indictment alleges that Xu, along with others, operated under the control and direction of the Chinese State Security Bureau as part of a state-sponsored hacking group known as Haflium, or Silk Typhoon. It is alleged that the State Security Bureau would assign targets to Xu, both organizations and individuals, with the instruction for him to hack the accounts and seek out specific information. The conduct alleged in this case began in February 2020, at a time just before COVID took firm hold in the United States, but had already begun to rage throughout China, despite the Chinese government's insistence a few weeks earlier that the virus could not be spread from person to person. The indictment alleges that Xu was ordered to hack into specific American universities and mailboxes of particular individuals at those universities, including virologists and immunologists who are conducting COVID-19 research. Xu is alleged to have penetrated the various schools' exchange servers by exploiting vulnerabilities in software to surreptitiously insert pieces of code or script known as web shells into targeted accounts, allowing the hackers continued access to the account's email and to the information contained therein. Once Xu obtained access to these targeted accounts, he was able to copy gigabytes of COVID research, which he then transferred to his State Security Bureau handlers. In October 2020, Xu is also alleged to have hacked into the email of a major DC-based international law firm, doing so to access and export confidential information about the firm's clients, specifically U.S. policymakers, government agencies, and political actors. Some of the searches that Xu was alleged to have conducted, including during the cyber intrusion, including the search terms Hong Kong, Chinese sources, and MSS, referring to China's Ministry of State Security. Although the Chinese state-sponsored hackers are, on occasion, indicted by the Department of Justice, it is exceedingly rare, indeed it is virtually unheard of, to actually get your hands on them. Since 2023, the United States has waited, quietly and patiently, for Xu to make a mistake that would put him within the reach of the American judicial system. And last week, he did just that, traveling from Shanghai to Milan, Italy. Once he touched down in Italy, Xu was promptly taken into custody by Italian authorities. He now awaits extradition to the United States, and we are deeply grateful to our Italian partners for their assistance in this case. I would also like to thank our partners at the F.B.I. and DOJ's Office of International Affairs for their help in making this arrest happen. We also wish to thank DOJ's National Security Division for their partnership throughout this long investigation. It is notable that the Chinese government directed theft COVID-19 research began in February 2020, after the outbreak of the virus in mainland China, and at a time where PRC officials were withholding information about the virus and its origin. The hacking of these American universities is not just a violation of intellectual property rights, it's an attack on American scientific innovation. The hacking of a U.S. law firm is not just about computer crime. It's about an attack on the American system of justice, which depends on the legal ability of clients to seek and obtain frank and confidential advice from their law counsel. Although the conduct in this case took place several years ago, we never lost sight of our goal to bring the perpetrators of these cyber intrusions to justice. Now, at least some of that story can be told. We eagerly await Mr. Xu's speedy extradition to the United States, and when he arrives, We look forward to extending him a warm Texas welcome. And with that, I'll turn it over to SAC Williams.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. And before I get started into my comments, on behalf of the FBI, I would like to express our deepest condolences to the families and victims of those devastated by the horrific flood in Kerr County, Texas. I'm so sorry for your loss, and you and your families are in all of our thoughts and prayers. This afternoon, I am proud to stand here alongside U.S. Attorney Nick Ganji to announce the arrest of Xu Zawei, a suspected hacker who worked for China's largest and most active spy agency, the Ministry of State Security. Xu is one of the first hackers linked to the Chinese intelligence services to be captured by the FBI. His activities read like a movie script. Includes secret taskings from spies overseas, front companies, and using state-of-the-art tools to commit cyber espionage. Last week, FBI Houston agents partnered with the Italian state police to arrest Xu on a plane as he landed at an airport in Milan. His arrest is the result of a complex cyber investigation spanning over 5 years in multiple countries. This case is led by FBI Houston agents, analysts, and computer experts. And to grasp the magnitude of this case, I rewind to February 2020 when our investigation began. While the Chinese government was concealing the truth about the origins of the COVID-19 virus, the Chinese Ministry of State Security, or MSS, was busy stealing America's most critical COVID vaccine research. As the world sheltered in place, Chinese hackers and spies launched a silent assault on our nation. Not with guns or bombs, but through cyber intrusions, targeting US-based doctors and scientists who are tirelessly working under extreme pressure to create a groundbreaking vaccine for the virus. Let me be clear. This was a calculated, deliberate effort by the Chinese government to hijack American innovation for their own gain. They not only sought to steal our intellectual property regarding effective COVID vaccines, but they also wanted to profit off the hard work of American researchers. That's where FBI Houston stepped in. And our cyber team spearheaded an investigation into Xu and his colleague, John Yu. We traced their every move, uncloaked their covert cyber operations, and followed their digital breadcrumbs around the globe. What we uncovered was an incredibly sophisticated spy and hacking operation. We witnessed Chinese MSS intelligence officers directing Xu and Zhang to exploit weaknesses in Microsoft's Exchange server. But this wasn't just a data breach. It was a full-scale cyber assault on some of America's most prominent and reputable institutions. They compromised thousands of computers worldwide while targeting law firms, military defense contractors, and universities, including 2 universities here in the Southern District of Texas. FBI Houston fought back in an unprecedented tactic in 2021. Our office led the first ever court-authorized operation to remotely access hundreds of victim computers using the hackers' own tools to remove the malicious code that gave Chinese spies admission to those computers. Working in the digital shadows, our team countered an advanced and persistent adversary hell-bent on infiltrating thousands of American networks and devices. As you can tell, this isn't your typical cyber investigation. Our investigation revealed that the Chinese government will stop at nothing to steal from the United States. And they have no shame in their actions and no respect for international laws. Their only regret is that their criminal conduct is now unmasked and laid bare for the world to see. To the Chinese spies and officials monitoring this press conference today, FBI Houston has a message for you. Your crimes are no longer hidden in the shadows. The world sees you for what you are, a government willing to break every rule, every law, every principle to steal from the United States. Continue your cyber campaigns at your peril. As FBI leaders have said time and again, no government poses a greater long-term threat to the American national security and economic prosperity than the People's Republic of China. Through its ongoing illegal efforts, the PRC hinders American innovation and deprives U.S. institutions of revenue and which supports scientific advances. And these crimes perpetrated by the PRC don't just happen once a year. In fact, less than a week before we arrested Xu in Italy, FBI agents apprehended Laren Lai just a few miles from here. Lai, another alleged Chinese spy, sought to conduct clandestine intelligence operations and allegedly worked to identify U.S. Navy personnel for potential recruitment by the Chinese Ministry of State Security, or MSS. FBI Houston continues to stand guard against the Chinese government's attempts to steal American innovation, disrupt American businesses, and threaten our way of life. We have proven that our reach spans continents, and our work to protect the homeland and the American people from foreign adversaries will continue. At this time, Xu remains in the custody of the Italian police under a provisional arrest warrant. We look forward to extraditing him back to the United States to face justice for his numerous crimes against this country and give him a big Texas welcome. FBI Houston continues to seek information on the location of Zhang Yu. Although we believe he is in China, anyone with information is asked to call 1-800-CALL-FBI. And in closing, I would like to thank my team of computer experts at FBI Houston, along with all the attorneys that stand here with me today from the United States Attorney's Office, for their dedication and hard work on this extremely important investigation. I'd also like to thank the media for your time here today. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Nick.
All right, thank you. This time we'll open it up to questions. John.
Can you be more specific about which universities were accessed? Was it UTMB, or who were the actual victims here?
So you're indeed right. They are victims, and so as victims, we're not going to disclose who they are. Sorry.
Do the victims know they were compromised?
Yes.
Question. Did these guys ever travel through Texas? Were they ever in Texas, or have they always been working from overseas?
The defendants in this case have always been working from overseas.
How were you able to track his travel to Italy?
We are not going to get beyond the indictment, but I appreciate your question.
Did the hacking at all impact the development of the vaccine? Could lives have been lost because of what these guys did?
We don't want to get into any allegations that might prejudice a possible trial in this case.
Special Agent Williams said that there was a counter effort to access computers remotely through, I guess, the victims' computers. Is that something that I didn't know the government could do that. Is that something that the victims had to consent to, or you guys got a warrant for, or what can you tell me about that operation?
Yeah.
So it was court authorized. So we received the first ever search warrant and court order to do it, where we basically went into the victim's computer using the bad guy's malicious code to remove the code from that computer.
I suppose my question is, if my computer had had the malicious code, would I have known the agents have?
You probably would not have known.
Every effort was made after the fact to notify people that have been compromised by these state-sponsored hackers that their accounts had been remedied by law enforcement. And again, this was all done pursuant to court approval.
One last question, anyone?
All right. Thank you all. Really appreciate you coming. Thank you.